What's up, everyone? This is Ramon DeFranco here, and welcome to episode 5 of the Hockey Stories series. Having the first overall choice in the NHL entry draft is a very realistic honor when the player comes in with lofty expectations. Also, being awarded the top pick may lead you to be the best in your age group, but it comes in with the requirement for you to go straight into the big leagues in your teens and quickly make an impact. Though many other former junior superstars who went on to have successful as well as Hall of Fame careers, there's no guarantee that they will pan out very well. After all, guys like Rick DiPietro, Nao Yakupov, and Alexandre Daigle led the entire draft class, but they were quite frankly a disappointment to watch. And there's one player who is just as bad as these aforementioned players, and his entire career will be remembered by one embarrassing event. This is the story of Patrick Stefan, who went from first overall pick in the entry draft to a complete and utter embarrassment. Now, in order for me to tell you this horrific story, I would like to take you guys back to June 30th, 1999, where Czech forward Patrick Stefan was taken first overall by the Atlanta Thrashers from the Long Beach Ice Dogs of the now defunct IHL. Atlanta began the draft as the second overall pick, but last-minute trades by Vancouver Canucks general manager Brian Burke helped the Thrashers go first overall and chose Stefan, while the Canucks chose the Sedin twins second and third respectively. Though he missed out being eligible for the previous year's entry draft by a single day, Stefan actually held the number one rank on the NHL's central scouting list due to going point per game and being an all-star in his 17 years in the league that was regarded as the second best in the world at that time. As the following 1999-2000 season began, Stefan earned a spot on the Thrashers roster out of training camp and made his NHL debut on October 2nd that year. After registering his first career assist on the Thrashers' first ever goal in franchise history, the Czech forward was able to produce a not-so-bad rookie season, scoring 5 goals to go with 25 points in 72 games played that year. These numbers may not be impressive for a first overall pick in the entry draft, but when you know that Stefan was in 6th place in team scoring that year on a Thrashers team that won just 14 games that year, he could be in a tough approach if you ask me. Over the next 4 years, the Czech forward looked to improve on his performance in the league as well as the Thrashers' position in the standings. Unfortunately, he was not exactly the best player coming out of the draft, as he scored just 44 goals in 270 NHL games. As a matter of fact, his most productive season was in 03-04, where he scored 14 goals to go with 40 points in 82 games. It's obvious that he didn't really live up to expectations as a former first overall pick in the entry draft. Not really. No. Now, one may argue that his inability to reach his potential was due to him being demoted to the press box from the injury bug. In his 6 years in Atlanta, Stefan suffered a broken jaw and a broken ankle, which led him to play more than 70 games just twice, with the lowest being in 01-02, where he played 59 games that year. In that time, Stefan missed a grand total of 62 games from 1999 to 2006, and it may not sound like much, but that's 3/4 of an NHL season spanning 6 years. Well, okay, at least the Czech forward was in the Atlanta Thrashers roster more often than not, and there's a dozen superstars who get injured and overall still perform well. However, the injury bug sooner or later doesn't help you find any form of consistency now, does it? On a bit of a better note though, Patrick did have time to shape up on the ice, and he was 24 years of age, and the best has yet to come. And once he took his talents to Finland following the 04-05 NHL lockout, Patrick rejoined the Atlanta Thrashers for one more season, where he scored 24 points in 64 games during the 05-06 season before being shipped off to the Dallas Stars on June 25, 2006. And this meant that after 6 years with the Thrashers, the Czech forward had overall scored 59 goals and 177 points in 415 games. And that means a former first overall pick who was supposed to be considered to be the best player in their age group has scored less than point per game pace in half a decade in his career. Stefan would welcome his trade to Dallas as he saw it as his only hope to resurrect his career, and he also saw this to compete with fellow veteran players such as Mike Modano, Sergei Zubov, and Marty Turco. And that's not a bad group of players to share your locker room with, contrasting to PK Subban and Tony DeAngelo. Those will be stories for another day. Upon joining Dallas, Patrick would sadly experience a different role with his new organization. Instead of playing for the top 6, he played for the bottom 6. And by that I mean rather than be a superstar momentarily, he would be more of a shutdown forward. And that's not what we're expecting from a former first overall pick in the entry draft. Basically speaking, Stefan posted the lowest point totals in his entire career as he scored just 11 points in 41 games. If this wasn't bad enough for you, it was about to go from bad to worse. On January 6, 2007, in a game in Rexall Place against the Edmonton Oilers, while the Czech forward scored a goal in the second period, the Oilers went head and shoulders as they had a 4-1 lead until 4 straight goals from Dallas gave them a 5-4 lead with 10 minutes to go. With Edmonton's goalie on the bench for an extra attacker, Patrick Stefan had a great opportunity to put the icing on the cake, and all he needed to do was shoot the puck into the open cage. Just when he was about to do so, the puck hit a bad patch of ice and bounced over his stick. He then fell over and missed the open goal, where Oilers forward Alice Hemsky scored with just 2 seconds left to go. And because of that, one of the easiest goals that a player hopes to receive instead results in the game-tying goal for the home team within the last 30 seconds of the game. I bet Stefan wishes he would love to have that one back, but no. This empty net embarrassment has since gone down in history as one of the most epic fails the league has ever seen, as fans both in the past and present try to forget about something that is textbook, as scoring into the empty net on the breakaway could result in 5 seconds of drama and devastation. And despite this horrible mistake, the Stars were still able to win the game 6-5 in the shootout, and Stefan finished the season without any more embarrassments. Unfortunately, his most recent error coupled with his continued lack of production gave the Dallas Stars no interest in keeping the Czech forward for the foreseeable future, and as a matter of fact, no team signed him for the upcoming 07-08 NHL season. And not only was Patrick Stefan unable to put this unacceptable mistake behind him, but his career was all but finished. That means after 7 years of the National Hockey League, the Czech forward overall scored 64 goals to go with 188 points in 455 games. Not only that, but his career will be remembered by one of the most outrageous mistakes that any hockey fan has ever seen. And if that's not the best way to end it all, I don't know what is. So why was Stefan never able to score more than 50 points in a season, and why was he out of the league at age 27? If you ask me that question, his injury problems was a major cause of that. If he didn't suffer 2 concussions in his draft year, as well as sprain his ankle early in his career, Patrick would have certainly been the best player in his age group, but no. After all, going over the injury book at the age of 17 to 24 will affect the player's development greatly. I get that the Czech forward was in the roster more often than not and had a lot of opportunities to put the puck in the back of the net, but in that time he was not 100% healthy yet. I think this has to do with how horrible the 1999 NHL entry draft went. While Stefan was a draft bust, there were just 6 of these forwards who went on to have successful careers, such as the Sedin twins and even Henrik Zetterberg, who was taken in the 7th round of that year. Given how messy the draft was from top to bottom, It's safe to say that Patrick may have gotten away with these numbers if he was taken at any other pick than first overall. Therefore, you have to work hard and play greater if you want to be noted as a player worthy of a draft pick. After all, guys like the Grade A and Sidney Crosby are going to be Hall of Famers very soon. Following his only season in Dallas, Stefan signed a one-year deal with SC Bern of the Swiss National League, and he chose the organization due to its reputation in the European hockey circuits. Though the Czech forward joined the NLA in the hopes of revitalizing his career and making it back to the NHL one day, just a few games into the season, Stefan was told by doctors he had to undergo open surgery. Even after embarrassing himself in front of the hockey world, he still couldn't catch a break from the injury bug. Wow! Just talk about bad luck. With his career as a hockey player practically over at this point, Stefan decided to announce around January 2008 that he was officially retiring at the age of 27. Given how hyped up he was over the years and how many serious injuries he needed to deal with, you gotta feel ashamed for the guy. By that, I mean while he was trying to accomplish these lofty expectations, his body kept being damaged so he can't reach them. On a bit of a better note though, since his abrupt ending to his NHL career, Patrick Stefan transitioned himself to the business side of the game by being an agent for pro and junior players. Since 2015, Stefan took his talents behind the bench, where he was either the assistant coach or the head coach of the Detroit Junior Red Wings, and that's a job he still serves to this day. Though the Czech forward has gone down in history as one of the worst first overall picks of all time, and is remembered for one of the biggest fails ever, Patrick Stefan had a tough ride in the NHL one way or another. I know he did not light the lamp that he should have, but you do not get to play in the best league in the world for 7 years if you're a bad hockey player now, do you? I also understand that the Czech forward may not have been a superstar he was expecting to be, but his costly error in January of 2007 has no doubt made him one of the most memorable players on the ice, but for the wrong reasons. This concludes the story of Patrick Stefan's journey from first overall pick to a complete and utter embarrassment. What did you guys think about his career? Do you think he would live up to the hype if not for that costly mistake? You could tell me that in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys think. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in episode 6.